This is actually a trending topic that I, for one, was not necessarily going to engage in because there's so much information, so many views out there about it. But I figured I have a responsibility because these thoughts are lingering in my mind in the same way that they're going through the minds of all the people that have shared their opinion about the Sibogile Manye situation, right? Imagine you being in her shoes, right? Every story has a protagonist and an antagonist, someone who provokes the particular situation to actually take place. So imagine being in Sibogile's shoes. You are sitting there expecting 1,400 Rand, 1.4 million clocks in. Now you must understand the power of money first and foremost, because I think this is a big determinant that many people don't want to engage in. The fact of the matter is, if you are from a disenfranchised group, a disadvantaged family, you're from a poor background, chances are when that money clocks in, you won't react rationally, right? You'll think about it, you'll dwell on the thoughts, you'll be overly jittery, you'll be excited, you'll be anxious, you'll be nervous. You may not know what to do with yourself. I could say type of situation. But when that money comes in and it clocks in, you think about I blew it maybe. The shows, all those people that have won the lotto, lost the money in 2 years, in 6 months, in 7 months, in 3 months, whatever the time frame, but losing millions and spending it recklessly, frivolously in just a short period of time. There's no exception to this young girl. 72 days, if I'm not mistaken, she spent over 800,000 Rand in glamorous ways and reckless ways with people around her who weren't advising her accordingly, according to what I think. Now, here's the thing. Should she be punished for her actions? The answer is a definite yes. It's an obvious yes. She should be punished for her actions, right? Because two wrongs don't make a right. So us comparing it to other angles, such as the amount of corruption that has taken place in our country by capitalists, there are many examples. There's the Steinhoff situation with Crystal Visa, with billions of rands that were lost through that scandal, through the corruption and fraud that was happening within that particular entity. Millions of rands, right? But to this day, unfortunately, no one's the wiser. No one's in prison for that particular action. Let me target it this way. Let's look at it from different angles to give better perspective, because you may be following me but may not know the full thrust of the story, right? So someone in an entity that is subcontracted to NSFAS pressed the button and the money went through. So the first question is, where is that person? The answer is simple. Apparently, that person is part of the group or that entity that is the one that actually opened the case against Sibongile. So in other words, they did it to absolve them from accounting for such a major mistake and a major flaw. Adding 3 more zeros, come on. 3 more zeros, really? Or is it even 4? Is my maths doing me wrong? Adding 3 to 4 more zeros, and that money goes into a bank account and you pick up nothing, right? So as the person who pressed the button, very sad, but no action is being taken against that particular person. To label Sibongile as a thief is utterly incorrect in and of itself. So I think sometimes we have this legal system that may not be a just system. So justice may not be the priority in this country that we are living in and operating in at this point in time. Then you've got Sibongile. She received the money, she used it and acted recklessly, childlessly, and everything else. You can think of any synonym from your perspective, right? Then we have the people around Sibongile who enjoyed the privileges that came with her spending that money. Then you have the fact that now she was caught out and action has to be taken. So now we have that major player, which is the law, which is our government, right? Then we look at fairness in this particular process. It angers a lot of us because we feel it is not fair. Many examples have been made as to what exactly could have been done, right? They could have given her a suspended sentence. They could have punished her by way of community service and giving her a certain period to pay back the money from the point at which she gets employed. They could have given her an opportunity to go out there and teach other young people to not make a similar or same mistake. Let me quickly share my story. Back in 2010, I was doing community service as an environmental health practitioner. I attended interviews, and then that was now at the end of the term, at the end of the year, because I wasn't guaranteed employment the following year. Now, what happened is that I was the best performing candidate in the interviews. Then I took a post in another organization. They didn't record that accordingly. So come January, I got paid by the organization that I was no longer working for, and I kept quiet. Hence, it's so difficult to judge Sibongile. I kept quiet. Luckily for me, I had another source of income. So my keeping quiet was me just transferring the money to a separate account and making sure that I don't touch it. Then it happened again, February. Kept quiet again. Happened again, March. Happened again, April. We're talking now 4 months. 4 months. 120 days. And on the 5th month, it happened one last time, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure whether it was 4 months or 5th month, but on that 5th month, they called me and said they picked up on this particular area. I would need to go in and see HR from the former organization and then make arrangements because they need their money back. Fortunately for me, I hadn't spent the money, right? So I was able to just give them the money. I didn't want any trouble. At the same time, while this was happening, whilst the money was in my possession, I was going out there, seeking advice, telling people who were older than me what was happening and seeking advice. But no one close enough to be influenced for me to take out the money and give them to you or use them for their benefit, right? Just seeking that advice. And some people said nothing's going to happen to me. I could just spend the money. Nothing would happen, right? And then some people advised me to say, no, take the money back. Or some people said, contact them. Then I just kept to myself. I don't know at the time. I was hoping it wouldn't be picked up, but it's an obvious thing that it would be picked up because, I mean, if I was going to keep getting that particular salary, at some point or another, they'd realize that I would be something like a ghost employee, right? And indeed, I gave the money back. Fortunately for me, because I could have been that Sibongile now, and an example could have been set by me. You know, an example could have been said using me, rather. So I was on the fortunate side. And fortunately for me, I had an alternative income. So we can't even compare and sit back and compare this issue of the background, my background and Sibogile's background. It would be very unfair, right? Because the situation was not the same. But a message to South Africa, the government, the leaders, do better. The legal system, do better. Do better. You can't give her 5 years for those foolish decisions. Foolish, granted. It was wrong, granted. But choose another way. So as they appeal, I know for a matter of fact that the judge that will now hear the case will come to a different conclusion. In fact, I don't know for a matter of fact, it's my opinion. I'm hoping that they'll come to a different conclusion. I think that would be fair, that would be just. And because of how much this thing is trending anyway, we are learning the lesson that you don't spend money that's not yours. But also, I think legal definitions have to be befitting of the crime. So when you say she stole the money, come on. That definition of theft really needs to be looked into. So we are looking at this case with very open eyes, with clear crystal thoughts, and we are applying our minds, and we're going to see what's going to happen. Because the biggest thing about this story is that so much corruption is happening and has happened in state-owned entities, ACA, ESCOM, and the like, in government departments, through this COVID situation that has happened in the last 2 years. All those particular factors are playing to benefit the corrupt. And that's, we need to see action. Right now, there's action being taken against Mayor Bathabile Dlamini. We love to see it. Because if you can take it because I don't have money, like a Sibogile, money truly makes the world go round. If you can take it because I don't have money, then that's a problem. We need a justice system, a proper system, a fair system that will treat us all equally and deserving of the consequences for our actions. So I wish Sibongile well. I hope she wins the appeal. I hope, as starters, we learn from this particular lesson. I hope we follow the story closely. I hope we act in solidarity for Sibongile's sake. And I hope that the legal system is corrected. Cheers, guys. It starts with you. Hope you learned something.